All right, for segment 1 today, we are going to be talking about what is Nightbane. That is right, we are starting a new game. I got to be honest with you, I don't know how interested in this I'm going to be. But you know what? People said that I would really like this game. And so here we are. You know, after we just did Beyond the Supernatural, which is more of a psychic investigator type game. In this one, you kind of play the monsters to some degree. So we'll find out what that is about in just a moment here. As Heathen Dog regales us, he's already done, by the way, right at the beginning here. If you have not seen it yet, Heathen Dog has a video he did 4 years ago, about 30 minutes long, that goes to the ins and out. Goes to the overview of this. We are now going to cover more ins and outs. We're gonna get deep into the minutia. We are going to have bad dreams together and figure out what happens at night. If you refer to the description below, you can find links to various Legion Myth sites, our social media, Discord, merch. Buy the merch. That way you get something for the money you pay out, etc. Please check this out, join us, and enjoy the swag. Join us on Thursdays and Saturdays on twitch.tv/Legion of Myth, where Heathen Dog and crew play multiplayer games for your mockery and enjoyment. And on Fridays and Sundays, come by the Legion of Myth YouTube channel, where we stream fundamentals, overviews, opinions, and commentary. This live stream right here you could be watching on the TTRPG hobby. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff that people like. And finally, we believe that role-playing games should take place in fantastic worlds, that the focus of your tabletop group should be on role-playing and having a good time. The core values of #RPGate and any good tabletop community are escapism, not representation, entertainment over activism, and natural, organic inclusion, not forced diversity. And if you watched last Friday's Friday night show stream, you'll know that RPG Elite didn't necessarily like the word escapism. He even has a whole video on it. Prefers the word vacationing. There we go. Let me get this Nightbane stuff on the screen.
Okay, while you are getting it ready, I'm gonna open this a little bit. This, in my opinion, is where Palladium starts its world building. It's real hardcore world building. It's all over riffs, but this is where it starts. So we get a lot more backstory, a lot more flavor. The mental picture that the backstory creates has a lot more color, a lot more depth, and it's a really good opener for what I would call enhanced world building that is riffs. So, you know, this is a good, you know, wading pool to get into the deep end of riffs later on. The whole thing with Nightbane is that you, as a PC, are a freak, but a good kind. You're an antibody.
You're the nice freak.
Yeah, you're the cure to what ails the world. Now, how did the world come up with you? Are you an accident? Are you some kind of Palladium god decided, oh, this world's in trouble, I'm going to give it a hand? Don't know. All I know is that you're the cure for the disease that's in this world, and it's kind of like fighting fire with fire because, well, when you're curing the world, people are scared of you because you technically are also a monster. But that's a little far ahead. Let's go back to how this all started.
Okay.
All right. Now to do that, we're going to go to page 10. We're going to start there. Everything before that is more flavor text and dialogue between NPCs, and I don't really want to start there. So starting at page 10,
with the exception of the horns here, this kind of reminds me of Minnesota in the late 80s.
Okay.
All right, page 10. Millennium of Shadows? Is that where we're starting?
Where's my... No, there it is. Oh, I'm sorry. No, page 11. It's my bad. Page 11.
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong page. We're going to Dark Day on the right. There you go. On the right side.
Yep.
All right. So Dark Day occurred on March 6th, 2000 at 6:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And
it's a pretty specific 6:02.
As Max Liao knows, Eastern Standard Time is the only time.
No.
He knows it. All roads lead to Rome, and Rome is the Pentagon.
East Coast can fall into the ocean for all I care. Screw East Coast time.
At this exact moment, the entire world was enveloped in unnatural darkness. Not night, darkness. The whole world was in a twilight that was unexplainable. There was a small bit of light coming from nowhere but permeating everywhere outside.
Oh,
No
so
one
is
could
that just that horrible haze kind of thing?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
No sun, no moon, no stars, nothing. Just a pale light permeating everywhere. That's outside. Of course, if you're underground, there's no light at all, whatever. It's coming from the sky, but it's an indescribable source. Now, as you can imagine, this caused all types of panic. And we can read here, the darkness wasn't night either because neither the moon nor the stars were visible the entire period. Panic broke out throughout the world, leading to the deaths of over 600,000 people. In the US alone, in excess of 120,000 people died in riots, fires, car accidents, and suicides. This only lasted a day. All right? A day. Millions of others suffered from both physical and mental trauma. Well, okay. Physical trauma, if you survived a riot, you're going to be hurt. That's going to suck. If you were the victim of a riot, you're going to be hurt. That's going to suck. But oh no, the stars went away for 24 hours and I'm mentally traumatized. You're just a pussy. TV newscasters babbled incoherently for several hours because they
so it's
had nothing to say.
It's 24-hour cable news. Got it.
Yeah, they had nothing to say. They had no explanation. No scientist could come on their show and explain what was going on here because no one knew what the hell was going on. There was no explanation.
Why does this remind me of the Head episode of Rick and Morty?
Show us what you got. Yeah.
There you go.
And we got nothing. Until all radio and television stations were seized by the government and made to broadcast messages instructing people to remain in their homes and stay calm. Listen, if the news has nothing to say, there's no shelters for you to go to. There's no actual identifiable threat. Then the government just shuts that crap down because it's just people talking and getting people more scared. We don't know what's going on. Stay home, stay inside. Information to follow. That's all you got. That's all you can do. By noon, 6 hours after the freak quote unquote eclipse had started, most US cities had suffered major fires and rioting.
That's a Friday now.
Yeah. Many believed it was Judgment Day. It wasn't until the late afternoon that some measure of control had been reestablished. Even after the riots had been suppressed, reports of demons and monsters terrorizing the streets continued to pour into the police departments. The government was quick to claim that all such sightings and alleged incidents involving monsters were either the product of mass hysteria or actions of malicious pranksters or looters wearing costumes. And this is believable. This is absolutely believable. In a heightened emotional panic that most people are in, not just because the stars and moon and sun are gone, but also after riots had burned down your shop or threatened your home or all that stuff, people are going to start seeing stuff that isn't there. That's just human nature. So this is all understandable. 100% I get it. The police are going to like, you know what? We got riots to deal with. Monsters under your bed. That call the priest. I got nothing for you. I got stuff to do.
But it gouged out my eyes.
Exactly. I get it. I get it. It was later pointed out that many God-fearing people believed it was the end of the world, and therefore it was natural for them to see demons and avenging angels, especially in a state of panic and hysteria. Again, this is completely understandable. Human beings, in the absence of information, we make up stuff, and mostly it's not right. So. There you go. However, the majority of people cling to the theories of hoax and hysteria, preferring not to believe that such creatures could really exist. Well, yeah.
That'd be me. I'd be, shut up.
I get it. Yeah, 100%. Completely believable. The next hours were spent in quiet, fearful vigil around the world as people waited for the darkness to end or to continue. Would the sun ever rise again? Was this the end of the world? Many suicides and other acts of desperation occurred during this period as the hours slowly ticked by and the unnatural darkness lingered for what seemed like an eternity rather than just 24 hours. Then at 6:02 a.m.
What is it about 6:02? Is that explained why it's 6:02 at some point?
That's just the time. That's just when, bad stuff has to happen sometime. Why not 6:02?
Kevin rolled a die.
There you go.
Actually, this game wasn't from Kevin, was it? This is somebody else from America. But anyway, the person rolled it.
He's credited as the senior editor, so he probably didn't
roll the die and said we got 6. All right, roll percentile or D66. Okay, rolled that. I got an 02. All right, 6:02.
There you go, 6:02. the sun or moon and stars, depending on where you were in the world when, what time zone you're in, came back. People cheered and cried with relief everywhere. Spontaneous parties and prayer broke out to celebrate the fact that the world had not come to an end. The crisis they thought was over. And they were wrong. Now, before we get into how they were wrong, let's look at some of the chat.
I only started one.
You're lazy.
And it's you said this came out after Rifts. I don't think your point earlier was that this game was before Rifts as far as story goes, but
No.
it's where it really shines.
This is the story. This is the start of world building, and in our narrative for this entire year, we're getting closer and closer to Rifts. I'm sorry, I wasn't clear about this. We're getting closer and closer to Rifts. So this was put here because, in part, because it starts the Rifts like world building narrative, story, depth. It starts that. Where in Rifts it's really strong. This one, get your feet wet. Basically,
I want one of these puppies. Good doggy.
Good doggy. Yeah, that's not a good doggy.
Oh.
Okay, America after Dark Day.
Oh, that's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. Things did not go back to normal. In fact, some commentators look to calling the year 2000 the year 1 AD, which means after dark. Although the light of day seemed to disperse most people's fears, many remained terrified of the night. This is just psychological damage because stress, significant events,
fear of the unknown. That's really what it comes down to.
It just makes people more of who they are. If they're weak, they're weaker now. If they're strong, they're stronger now. That's pretty much how it works. Starting at Dark Day, hundreds, perhaps thousands of people had become monsters. General populace doesn't know this. Most of them were young, ranging in age from 13 to 20. All of them were orphans, raised in institution, foster homes, or adopted by normal families. They had led normal lives until their true forms, I'm a little skeptical on this one, manifested themselves. Each of these monsters had a unique form, always inhuman. Many were killed by terrified people or killed themselves due to horror or panic. Like if you suddenly turned into a giant insect monster, some people would go, okay, well, I'm a monster now. I'm either going to kill a whole bunch of people or I gotta delete myself. Some people would take the high road and delete themselves. I get it. And other
Is that
people
really the high road?
Hey, if you sincerely believe that you are now a monster, taking yourself out of the picture saves lives. I get it. And I can't blame the families or friends of people who saw their child or brother or sister, turn into, a wombat with compound eyes and decide, nope,
Shadowrun.
that's
How many people committed suicide in Shadowrun during Goblinization?
Lots.
Oh, okay.
Lots. And a lot of people killed their own children when they turned into trolls.
You do it quickly. Those kids are about to get bigger than you.
Yeah, do it quick. Yeah. Luckily, it usually happens at the beginning of puberty. All right. Let's see. Killed by terrified people due to horror panic. The rest were able to run away, hide, and later discovered they could return to their normal human form. However, they would also learn that during times of stress, fear, or desire, the change would reoccur spontaneously. They also sensed that they were not alone.
Where are you?
During the Dark Day, other monsters like them appeared on Earth. Even in human form, these gifted, quote, youths would sense the presence of others of their kind whenever they were nearby. They came to call themselves the Nightbane because it was at night that they were transformed or reborn during the dark time, during the Dark Day. So they called themselves Nightbane. Some of these inhuman survivors were able to forsake and contain the monster within, hide their nature from others, and lead a normal life. Yet somehow, even they were discovered and destroyed by either the police or other monsters that were systematically tracking down all the Nightbane. Running seemed to be the only way to survive, so the young Nightbane left their homes and fled into the cities where they could hide better amongst the teeming millions.
They were orphans. Nobody loved them
point,
anyway.
Reading this, like, what is hunting you? What is hunting you and finding you?
The media.
Well, it's not just that. Even people who've suppressed their transformations, they get discovered and murdered. By what? At this point, I'm thinking, what is going after these kids?
It's just somebody trying to cull orphans. It's okay. It's like getting rid of left-handed people. We don't need them anyway.
Yeah, it's only 10% of the population. We could do without. Plus,
Yeah.
little culling here and there never hurt anyone. All right, now
We
we're gonna
jest. We
start to
jest.
find out. Now is where the narrative of the actual problem begins. You thought Dark Day was bad. No, no. There's a reason Dark Day happened, and that's the real threat. Here we go. The atmosphere of fear and chaos brought about major political reform in America and to a lesser extent around the world. A new political group, the Preserver Party, took advantage of the situation. The party's platform was the preservation of American society at all costs. Very similar to some people's hats nowadays. Similar message. It claimed that the current government had failed to protect the American public. Before Dark Day, preserver candidates for presidency, Congress, and state positions had been running way behind in the polls because crackpot, you know, tinfoil hat nonsense. None had ever captured more than 12% share of the voting public. After Dark Day, this changed dramatically. The preservers' numbers swelled as fearful people, including many who hadn't bothered to vote before, joined the party. The majority were inspired by the preservers' charismatic leader, presidential hopeful Douglas Carson.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the
That's a
officers and
presidential name.
yep, the officers and candidates of other political parties seemed to be plagued by scandal, including the suspicious suicide of a major presidential candidate. This all
Wow.
is
He signed his own suicide note, huh?
yeah.
Wonder who that also represents. It's funny how prophetic this was in 95.
When November 2000 rolled by, Douglas Carson had been elected president with 39% of the popular vote and carrying 31 states. Now, he didn't win the popular vote, but apparently he won the electoral college vote, which again, something that
Well,
happens.
when you have three parties, you don't need a majority, you need a plurality. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Candidates from the Preserver Party managed to gain roughly 1/3 of Congress and became dominant in several states in the South, Midwest, and Northwest. For the first time in the history of the US, a three-party system was firmly entrenched, and a president from that dark horse group stood as the leader of the country. Now, normally, a two-party system is bad enough, but a three-party system is complete and utter gridlock. You would expect nothing to get done. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean, other countries have parliamentary
No,
system where
other
they do,
countries don't have
but
3,
they
they
have to
have, like,
build
7, 12, 20,
they have to build
and
a coalition, though.
yeah, they have to
Germany is
build
a
a
good example.
coalition amongst all the minor groups to have a forceful impact, but it's easier than 3 equally strong groups.
Sure.
But we find out pretty soon that that's not what happened. Political analysts predicted the government would become frozen by gridlock as the three parties all pulled in different directions. However, shortly after the new government got underway, many Republican and Democratic members of Congress and the Senate fell into line with the uncharacteristic meekness, voting the way President Carson wanted them to vote time
Okay.
after time.
Again, prophetic. That's like
It's
that's
amazing.
modern year.
I know, and think of it this way. The people who wrote this were trying to write a worst case scenario.
I want the lottery numbers for, let's see, how many years ago was this? 25. I want the lottery numbers for 25 years from now.
Yeah. This is uncanny. Let's see. Rumors of blackmail, bribery, and corruption soon swept the Capitol.
Where are you
Reporters
again?
who tried to investigate the matter were frustrated by a lack of any evidence to support any such claims of impropriety. Oh, that's not the first typo. However, the situation became increasingly troubling when a number of investigative reporters met with accidents, madness, or simply disappeared. More strange coincidence in a long line of unlikely happenstance. Okay, now
Well,
you're
a
starting to
certain
think.
name keeps coming to mind. I'm not going to say it, but certain
Well,
name.
sticking to the game now as the reader, the gears in your head should be moving. Okay, this all happened after the Dark Day, and suddenly the whole political landscape changed in 24 hours. I mean,
Well,
a surgence of a dark horse party after a giant traumatic event is not uncommon. I'll go
yeah.
with that. But suddenly that dark horse candidate becoming president, and this political party suddenly becoming a whole country wide phenomenon, and holding significant office in all branches of the government. And then on top of that, the many members of the other two political parties just doing whatever
Well, if
this
you can
this
see the writing on the wall, I mean, it's like the whole Dino Rhino thing, right? In America, it's like that's not a real Republican, that's not a real whatever, I could so far I could see happening. Unfortunately, I was about to make a comment and then I saw that it was in this paragraph, and my comment was like, "What surprises me is that martial law hasn't been declared, and because you know how people get. Look, it already happened here with recent events out in we'll say the West Coast." Uh, but then I read this, I was like, "Yep, there we go. That's actually what I was expecting."
Yep. Meanwhile, the new Congress started passing a number of laws designed to reestablish order. The new laws greatly reduced individual rights and included expanding police discretion to conduct searches without a warrant, a national ID card, gun registration, and ownership restrictions. The new Congress
Oh,
also
Chicago.
restructured the Secret Service, disbanded the NSA, and created a new security agency, the National Security Bureau. Okay, all of this right here is top to bottom fascism checklist.
And the NSA wouldn't have to go away. You could just put the B in place of the A, and you've already got it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is it. Restrict information to the people. Don't worry. Yeah, we've already gotten rid of the investigative reporters, right? Restrict the ability for people to fight back against their government. Take away their guns. Take over all of the security and police authorities. There you go.
and
That's
that'll be
how that's how
what
you
you read next,
establish and
as a
maintain
matter of
order.
fact. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you establish and maintain order. Your order, not actual
There's
order.
a reason checks and balances, in theory, exists. Well, this is about to remove all the checks and balances,
Yeah,
and it's going to be one party, one utopia rule. Yes, I know what the word utopia actually means, but we're gonna live under this, and we're gonna like it.
exactly. Less than a year later, the NSB, which sounds very, very Russian, discovered a massive plot by the FBI, CIA, and DEA to overthrow the US government. You know what? I don't think they made this up. I think the FBI, CIA, and DEA would look around and go, dude, we got to do something. I mean, we took an oath to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. This is domestic. The writing's on the
Yeah,
wall.
I see it the opposite way on that one. I see them as part of the problem. So,
Well, apparently not, because if this was a hoax, just to discredit the FBI, CIA, and DEA to get them to because you couldn't control all of them, then they were a problem
actually,
to
no,
the new
this does
establishment.
make sense. No, you're right. This does make sense. Again, I'm trying to say this stuff without being political. But if you look at our former president and the people, literally, general officers lied to him about troop movements. So, and you've got people in the FBI directly undermining him.
Yeah,
So now, don't get me wrong. There are other shenanigans on his side as well. But the point is, okay. Now that I think about it that way, if you had somebody like a preserver party, is that what it's called, preserver party? Step up. Maybe now I could believe. I think this is actually a little more true to life.
yeah.
Not that,
Again, this is art, life art here. It's crazy. The National Security Bureau's probing investigations indicated that Dark Day was the growing crime rate around the country was also part of the same plot. Now it's getting a little thin. I mean, it was a little see-through before, but now it's basically ephemeral. They also uncovered acts of alleged insurrection by or corruption within other government agencies. The public, long accustomed to stories of government abuse and desperate to find somebody to blame for Dark Day, believed the story. The NSB purged, wow, that's more Russian,
where
those
are you?
agencies
Because
of
I'm not seeing
conspirators.
this. What page are you on, or
Down,
what
down,
paragraph are you in?
ah, the NSB purged.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Purged those agencies of conspirators with scores of innocent government agents convicted of terrible crimes and executed as traitors or imprisoned. Others resigned and many vanished, fleeing justice and evidence of their guilt, actually just fleeing for their freaking lives. According to the NSB, some really did vanish, whereabouts unknown even to old allies and loved ones, presumed dead or in prison somewhere, or they successfully escaped. But several hundred went underground to be later featured on America's Most Wanted as enemies of society.
Is that show still on TV?
I don't think America's Most Wanted is still on. In the year 2004, President Carson was reelected with an amazing 76% majority of the popular vote. A number of newspapers and news agencies claimed that the elections had been rigged. They were. Civil liberties continued to be restricted. Gangs of preserver activists, also known as preverts, that's funny. Okay, I got to give you that one. That was pretty funny. Started acting as unofficial terror squads, bullying and sometimes attacking people who made too much noise against the government. The National Rifle Association was one of the organizations to fall. The NSB continued making arrests left and right. Okay, now we'll go over to some
When does Crystal Knock start?
Don't worry, that's starting soon.
Okay, so Victor Gorbachev says, sounds almost like Shadowrun's goblinization. Then he says, damn, Max beat me to it. What a jerk. I am.
Yeah.
I am a jerk.
It is a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit, but it's a much smaller part of the population that actually turned into Nightbane.
Theo Geek says, Nightbane sounds like a cheesy emo rock band.
Fair.
Oops, I didn't mean that. Sound like my type. He's talking about the preservers. Sound like my type of guys.
Yeah. 4 years ago, I likened the preservers to Tea Party.
Yes, and I have severe issues with that, but
No, the whole thing is understandable. Here's the logic behind it. The Tea Party was a grassroots movement to push back against things they didn't believe in, and as they gained power, they were taken over by powerful individuals, and then their original edicts were circumvented.
Yep.
To do something completely different, and that's exactly what happened to the Preserver Party.
Yeah, the Tea Party moved into dumb things like gun rights and all this other stuff. Tea Party was supposed to be about taxes and taxes only.
Yes, but the leadership was usurped, and they went bonkers.
Yep. So there we go. Those were all the. Matt said that this is a bit on the nose. Well, this was written in 1995.
25 years ago. Like, we're just reading it, man. We're just reading it and looking back on the last few years. So there it is. Yeah, it's freaking eerie, but there it is. By 2006, President Carson announced he'd be seeking a third term in office, claiming that
Roosevelt.
Claiming the current situation needed stable leadership and drawing comparisons between him and Roosevelt in the 30s and 40s. Reports continued pouring in about strange goings-on in the White House and the Capitol, despite increased repression and news control. And monsters continue to walk the streets after dark.
Let's take a look at this one. Oh, that's a guy. That's an elf. That's an elf tiefling guy with a mohawk and skulls for. I'm guessing it's a bandana, or he's a raccoon. Okay. Look at those teeth.
Yeah. So now we get in. All of that was preamble to let you know that something was underneath this Preserver Party, and the trajectory of the political climate doesn't seem natural. And this is why.
Hold on, I got to respond to this right away. It's an apples and oranges issue. Whether it's a dumb thing or not, that's not what the Tea Party was about. It was co-opted by a whole ton of people with additional agendas. The Tea Party is about one thing and one thing only: taxes. If you believe it was for anything more than that, then you're ignorant. Now, I'm not saying your comment's ignorant, because I actually agree with your comment, but that's not what the Tea Party was about.
Okay, so we're going to start with what's going on. The rise of the Preserver Party and similar movements and organizations around the world, again, this didn't just happen here. It happened everywhere. Was not an accident, but part of a complex plan for world domination. Most of the people involved are unknowing puppets of inhuman beings from another world. A number of occultists, rebels, and Nightbane have discovered where the conspirators come from and have some theories as to what they want. The first discovery was that the alien world where the invaders originate is a lot closer than anyone would imagine. The Earth and the world, known as Nightlands or Darklands, are like two layers of the same onion, touching but separate and independent from each other. For centuries, magicians and Nightbane... Sorry?
It's Ravenloft.
A little bit. For centuries, magicians and the Nightbane had made contact and crossover from one world to the other, but always in small numbers and with great difficulty. Dark Day weakened the barriers between the worlds, making the invasion easier. And the invasion from the Nightlands, we're not going to read the script here. We're going to talk about the Nightlands. It is a place of darkness and fear, much worse than the Earth has become, although some fear that the goal of the invaders is to turn the Earth into a place just like the Nightlands. It appears to be a cruel mockery of our world with the same cities and places, even some of the same people, but
Oh,
all
wow.
twisted and perverted.
Oh, it's Earth Dawn astral space after a horror was there.
Very much. Monsters walk freely there, and humans are slaves and victims. At first glance, an accidental visitor to Nightlands might think he's looking down at a normal world sometime in the late evening. Cities sprawl much like their earthly counterparts, but unlike normal cities at night, there are few lights. The sky is a solid sheet of black, just as the earth was during dark day. This being the case, the land should be lost to pitch blackness, but somehow, just like dark day, there was enough light to allow sight and to cast long shadows, a sort of dark twilight. The humans and humanoids living here are pale and sickly looking. Many seem to be in a daze or lost to apathy. Horrible creatures randomly hunt them down and slay them, sometimes for food, but more often for sheer pleasure.
Sounds like a fun place.
Yeah, sounds like an amusement ride. Although nobody seems to know how, the Nightlands are so closely linked to Earth that most of the humanoid inhabitants of that dimension have a counterpart, an identical twin, living on Earth. Some occultists believe that the humans of the Nightlands took their shape from the dreams and thoughts of the real people in our world. But that's a theory. They claim that the Nightlands were merely a reflection of our nightmares, which have somehow been brought to life. Regardless of what they are, the Nightlands and their inhabitants are real enough to cross over to Earth and kill and terrorize just as they do on their home worlds. More details about the Nightlands and their inhabitants are in the Life After Dark section of this book, which we're not going to get into. We're going to get into the Nightlords, which are the rulers of the Nightlands.
Are you still planning on this to be a 2-video segment? Like this week and next week to get through this background, or do you think you're going to get through it today?
I'm doing really well, but
Yeah.
we have to explain the night. Yeah, I can get through. I can get through the backstory today.
Okay.
I can do it.
Either way is fine. I just wanted to know.
All right. So this is going to be the rulers of the Nightlands, the Nightlords.
Baal.
These are the orchestrators.
He's a Gua'uld, and he died.
Basically, yes. These beings orchestrated and are in control of the invasion of Earth, which has already been conquered. Humans don't know it yet. The rulers of the Nightlands are called the Baal, or the Nightlords. The Baal are sadistic, megalomaniacal beings with enormous power. Like the Nightbane, they have a Morphus or a true form, always a nightmarish alien shape. But they can create multiple incarnations called avatars, which operate independently and can assume any shape at will. These creatures have masterminded the conquest of the Earth. That, in Palladium lore, makes them close cousins to alien intelligences, because alien intelligences in Palladium have the ability to fragment themselves, to send pieces of themselves to other dimensions. And if you're fighting alien intelligences, you're probably screwed. And these are like weaker cousins of alien intelligences, but still, you're probably screwed.
If you don't know the reference, watch our last series on Beyond the Supernatural.
There you go. Their ultimate goals are a mystery to humans and Nightbane alike. They seem to draw strength from the Nightlands, and as the Earthlings become more frightened, paranoid, and anarchistic, I don't know about that, but whatever.
Well,
The Nightlands become stronger.
this is a land of horrors. This is this is Earth Dawn.
Yeah. It is possible that by making Earth more like their dark homeworld, they gain more power. It is also possible they feed on the fear and emotions generated by humans. Again, alien intelligences do this. Horrors in Earth Dawn also do this. This is a trope. This happens all the time in books and stories and apparently RPGs as well. Or perhaps they're tired of ruling only the Nightlands and wish to expand their control over this new world called Earth. Maybe so. I mean, these are godlike creatures. Who knows what's in their sluggy little minds. It is just as possible that each Nightlord has its own goals and agenda. Again, we don't know. Their major weakness is their fierce competition and paranoia. The Baal worked together to launch the invasion of Earth, but once it was completed, their cooperation ended, with each Night Lord carving out his or her own kingdom on Earth. Backstabbing and conspiracies between the Baal are common enough to have come to the attention of the Nightbane and human resistance movements. They have found that sometimes the best way to destroy a Baal is to turn one against another.
Okay.
More
Makes sense.
information about them can be found in Life After Dark. Now, this is important. Because this is really the only way humans and Nightbane have a chance to retake their world. Apparently, the Nightlords are chaotic evil. If they were lawful evil, we'd be screwed. We'd just be screwed. But they're chaotic evil, so they can't even get along with each other. They're only after what they want, and what they want is more important than anything else. And there you go. So that's our only shot. They have really, really poor command structure. That's it. Now, most of the time, that's offset by their immense power and influence, but still, there's a chink in their armor, and that's it. Conquest of the world. Dark Day was no freak of nature, but the prelude to a secret invasion. Even before Dark Day, the Nightlords had secretly placed their agents on Earth. The Preserver Party was infiltrated and controlled by agents of the Baal almost a year before Dark Day. Again, just like the Tea Party, it was infiltrated and taken over by outside parties pushing their own agenda. President Carson and most of his political appointees are not human beings at all. They are doppelgangers. Nightlands bred counterparts to men and women living on Earth. The real Carson was killed and replaced years ago. In the months following Dark Day and Carson's election, more doppelgangers were brought across, and in towns and cities throughout America and the rest of the world, key people in the police, military, and government were murdered and replaced with their doppelgangers. Where no doppelgangers matching the victims could be found, Nighthounds, other Nightlands monsters, and even the avatars of the Nightlords themselves took their places using magic and natural abilities to disguise themselves. In addition, many humans have been bribed, coerced, or intimidated into servitude. See, here's the thing. After Dark Day, Dark Day brought the two worlds so close together that you can now move people en masse from one place to another, and that's what they did. They took the opportunity to bring all of their infrastructure over, replace everyone during the confusion and chaos, everyone important, or start the process of doing that with doppelgangers who were under the heel of the Nightlords already from the other world, or barring that, magically transform you to look like the person you're replacing, or have a Nightlord just spout out an avatar and bloop, and make it look like the person you're replacing, and Bob's your uncle.
My only problem with the past paragraph was the entire time you're reading that, all I could picture was Men in Black.
Okay.
Like all the alien intelligences that are actually
inside people, like masquerading as people. Yeah. Now, this you use this to replace key people in the government, key people in local police, key people in newspapers and online reporting outlets. If you control CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever, you control all that. You control the narrative. You steer that away. You steer all the suspicion away, and you can complete your task with basic autonomy.
I have to step away for a moment. Hopefully you cover this paragraph, because I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm going to look at chat. Here we go. Nightbane is such a great game. I'm glad it's getting some in-depth attention. Yes, it is. It is an excellent story, and the idea of the whole merging monster, like an adolescent human becoming a monster. That's what they feel like anyway, right? They're becoming a monster and just feeding on that. It's pretty on the nose, but it's fun. I like it. Then we move on to Father Goose. I ran a game that blended Nightbane, Beyond the Supernatural, and Heroes Unlimited into a single setting and wove the Nightlords into the Armageddon Unlimited storyline. It's a lot of work, because it's hard to integrate Heroes Unlimited and Beyond the Supernatural, especially because they're such high power and low power respectively, that it would be difficult for the game master, but anything in Palladium is possible. So if it's a Palladium game, you can blend it together. It is possible, but that's more work than I would do. Congratulations. Victor says, sadistic, megalomaniacal beings with enormous power. Sounds like how Max runs his streams. Yep. Yep.
You're lucky this is segment 1, or I'd make a gesture right now.
There you go. Heathen Dog, you should go over what a Nightlord can do at some point to really push home how powerful they are. Yes, and I will. Don't worry. I mean, I've already likened them to alien intelligences.
Now is that going to be like is there like a specific 2-3
Yes,
weeks
we're
down the
gonna move
road?
on. This is all backstory today, and
Okay.
then next week we're going to do Nightbane and Nightlords as racial character classes and NPCs.
Okay.
So we are going to get into that definitely. And Father Goose says it was a huge amount of work, but totally worth it. Hey, you know what? That's awesome. So congratulations. It's awesome. Okay, and then we'll move on. The preserver-controlled government became more repressive and authoritarian than any previous U.S. administration history. Claiming to be fighting crime, the NSB, still very Russian, became incredibly intrusive and powerful. It has become a form of secret police, not unlike, ta-da, the KGB of Communist Russia or the Gestapo of the Nazi Germany. The feds are watching has become a fearful catchword in everyday life. The free press is also a thing of the past. Most news agencies are controlled, influenced, or manipulated to release only what the government and the Nightlords want. Now remember, not everyone needs to be replaced. Key people can be replaced. Everyone else can be bribed, blackmailed, or just disappeared.
There's 2 other things. You also want loyal opposition to have as a scapegoat, and you want people who are just crackpots, we'll say, or you can make them look like crackpots,
Yeah.
so that you always have a leg to stand on. Because if you ever make anything too good, make it too well, too right, then
People are gonna think it's wrong because
or think
perfection
outside the box. Well, we could do this. We're fine now. We can do these things. No, you always have to have an enemy.
Yep. That's that is a big part of creating a fascist regime. You have to have someone to blame for all your woes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can never get rid of that someone or something. You can't. So you always have to have the opposition. All right. Some news reports have been suppressed in order to prevent riots, civil disorder. Others squelched in the name of national security. Still others have been discredited with sudden and suspicious confessions, eyewitness reports, facts, and revelations that revealed the original report to be incorrect or false. In fact, many top reporters have had their careers ruined when they were proven to be unreliable, irresponsible, or downright liars. Many of the more outspoken reporters and journalists have been replaced with doppelgangers, discredited, or killed in sudden accidents. By the time the Carson re-election, 2004, the U.S. was firmly in the grip of the Nightlords. The federal government was in the hands of King Moloch. Again, the individual Nightlords are in the Game Master section. Local control over the U.S. is divided among 3 Nightlords, subservient to King Moloch, but often at odds with each other. Again, there is a certain hierarchy. We're not going to get into that here, but it is very loose, and they are not nice to each other, let alone anyone else. The goals of the Nightlords remain unknown, or remain unconfirmed. For the time
at this
being,
point, doesn't matter. Darkness is darkness,
yeah,
right?
it doesn't really matter. If you're a human being, you're boned no matter what their end game is. They are content with securing their dominance over their new domain. Meanwhile, people keep disappearing or dying. This has led some occultists to speculate that many of these victims are being used as slaves or perhaps sacrificed to an even more horrible entity. Maybe the Nightlords serve some unknown power that demands such payment in pain.
Oh, there
and
is
blood.
a group of people higher than them, the old ones. That might just be faceless.
Higher level alien intelligences, yes. Now we come to the Nightbane. Only a few facts are known about Nightbane. They are shape changers with a human form known as a facade.
I got to interrupt for a second. Nightbane are the good guys, right? That's you.
Yeah. Yes. This is all the player characters. Well, most of the player characters. And monstrous form called the Morphus. No 2 Nightbane have the same Morphus. In fact, a few are beautiful in an inhuman way. All Nightbane are adopted children or orphans. Who their parents are, where they came from remains unknown to them. They are supernaturally strong and resistant to damage, have several different supernatural powers, and have lifespans measured in centuries. They are able to travel freely into the Nightlands, whether by walking through mirrors or through magical gates. They can also sense the presence of others of their kind, which is good because the Nightlord's minions mercilessly hunt down the Nightbane, giving neither nor asking for any mercy. Now, why are these Nightbane sprouting? Why during the Dark Day did all of these orphan children spontaneously mutate into monsters?
Lack of sunshine. Parents didn't send them out to play. And if they did, well, there was no sun anyway.
I'm gonna say no.
Oh.
Now,
Oh, that was my theory.
That was your theory. Okay, well, we'll just put a pin in that. We'll never come back to it. But a lot of theories are there. Maybe this is the world's antiviral. Like the world saw this coming and decided it was going to create a protection.
Chat's got a bunch of ideas. Keep coming up with ideas. Keep telling us what you think the reasons
don't worry.
are.
We're gonna get to your ideas in a minute. Don't worry. Or it was some Palladium god saw this happening. Well, this is not right. I like humans. Let's give them a chance. And created Nightbane. Or maybe it's just the worlds collided. Magic grew to the point where, boom, these people spontaneously morphed. It was random. It was just maybe one, maybe all of them. I don't know. Let's find out.
Magic returned to the world.
There you go.
And
there are many theories and rumors about the Nightbane, especially among their own kind. Some say they are beings of pure energy that take the form of an instinctive effort to blend in. And when the Nightbane is killed in its Morphus form, its body dissolves into a pool of black light, which dissipates in a matter of seconds, lending credence to that theory.
Is this more discorporation or whatever the hell it's called?
Yes.
Really? Can we have one Palladium game that doesn't discorporate?
Calm down.
Yep.
When he dies in his human form, the Facade decomposes like a normal human body. Other cultists think the Nightbane have the power to manifest their soul or their personality in their Morphus. Their proof is in the fact that Morphus' shape is typically related to the fears, likes, or dislikes of the Nightbane. Nobody knows whether either theory is right. A few think that maybe both are right and wrong at the same time. Here's the thing. I've already said earlier that the Nightbane transformation was seemingly random. It's not. The Nightbane transformation is based on the thoughts and or fears of the individual person at the moment the Dark Day happened, when they first transformed. So whatever they were most afraid of, or sometimes whatever they were most enheartened by, their bodies transformed to be more of that. Their bodies transformed to what they saw as an apex predator in their subconscious. That's very telling for what comes next. The Nightbane have existed for centuries before Dark Day. Some students of the occult believe they were the result of accidental crossovers. They were foundlings, children who were sometimes adopted by human families or even animals. Mowgli. Most Nightbane lived out their lives without suspecting their inhuman origins. They lived and died as normal humans, and their facades decomposed with the passage of time. The few who had their identities revealed, gave rise to the legends of demons, werewolves, changeling, and fairy children. These Nightbane discovered they aged very slowly and learned to use it to their supernatural powers and monstrous visions to their benefit. Some for good, others for evil. They're just folk. When you get right down to it, they're people. In the dawn of history, some of these beings were worshipped as gods on earth and founded entire empires. Some of the animal-headed gods of Egypt and the mythical god kings of Mesopotamia are believed to be Nightbane whose powers manifested themselves. That is interesting because one of the random thing is you could have an animal head and a human-ish body, a biped body, but an animal head, a hawk.
I'm an Anubis. I'm a jackalman.
A jackalman, you could. Yeah, it's fine. Eventually, awe gave way to fear. By the Middle Ages, the Nightbane were considered to be demons and hunted down everywhere. The ones who survived persecution lived in hiding, often traveling the world, never staying in one place for long, especially as the passage of years did not tarnish their physical appearance. Now, it doesn't say it specifically, but it seems like the ones who never transformed aged normally and died. It seems like it, because these are the ones who did transform, and now it's talking about how they're not aging like everybody else. It hasn't specifically said that yet. It might under the Nightbane racial character class. We'll find that out tomorrow or next week. The rules for these. Wait, no, missed it. Some Nightbane form secret societies and establish a system of mutual assistance. The rules for these organizations were usually simple: hide your Morphus from humans, do not harm humans unless absolutely necessary, and help any Nightbane you encounter. Safe houses, usually in the countryside away from towns, were built by these refugees. Any new member of their race was approached quickly, usually as soon as his or her powers manifested, and offered shelter and protection. Those who were Nightbane, but whose nature had not been awakened, were watched but left alone, since chances were they might never transform, especially if the change hadn't occurred by age 24. Dark Day changed all of this. Before that time, there were only a few hundred manifested Nightbane across the world. But the coming of the dark and the mystical energies unleashed during the process caused every potential Nightbane in the world to transform. It's very the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. Thus, the number of Nightbane had increased 100-fold. However, their awakenings did not all occur simultaneously. Throughout the Dark Day, approximately half of all Nightbane in the world manifested, while the rest remained unaltered. These late bloomers would awaken over the next year or so, usually through some kind of stress or traumatic event, which would facilitate unconscious change. Furthermore, since Nightbane's abilities appear only after puberty, there are still thousands of unsuspecting children who will become inhuman beings over the next several years once they hit puberty. Man, you thought puberty sucked normal. Bad now. From the beginning, the minions of the Nightlords have tried to destroy the Nightbane. This is important. Even those Nightbane who made contact and offered their services to Baal are usually eliminated.
Oh, wow.
Many consider this policy to be insane, since such aggression leaves the Nightbane no option but to oppose the Nightlords and their hellish minions. Perhaps the Baal fear the Nightbane so much that they dare not allow them to live, even as slaves or loyal soldiers at their side. This has led some to believe that Earth's salvation may lie in the hands of these unwanted children of the night. Now, I'm going to give you an answer to that. This is a little spoiler for next week. The reason that the Nightlords eliminate almost 100% of all the Nightbane they find is because a Nightbane attack against a Nightlord does triple damage. It's the same thing as a piece of a millennial tree or a super holy artifact. How it works against an alien intelligence. It does triple damage.
I'm gonna change that up a little bit. I think it's because whoever wrote this book doesn't believe in player agency and doesn't want you to have an evil campaign.
Well, I don't believe in player agency either.
I'm actually okay with that.
And that is going to be the backstory for today.
Awesome.
We're going to stop there. So let's look at more of the...
so next week we do Nightbane factions?
Well, we're going to touch on it.
Okay.
We're not going to get super in-depth because I don't think it requires that. The main focus is going to be the Nightbane and the Nightlords themselves.
Okay. Sounds good. And I will let me slide these around first. Actually, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to do this.
Throw up some chat.
Throwing up some chat. So he thinks the vax caused this. Nope. Okay. That soy in the food caused this.
It doesn't help, but no.
He just thinks people eating bugs.
Okay.
For some reason, Kevin Sullivan doesn't understand that this is Shadowrun.
Because Shadowrun Earth on the same planet.
It has all the hallmarks of Shadowrun, and I keep saying yes, and Earth Dawn, which is
the same world, just a few thousand years apart.
Furry preppers.
Furry preppers, yes. Well, no, you can't say furry because they're not just animal aspects. You could have insect aspects as well. So there you go.
And for whatever reason, more about furry. As soon as you said animal head, people do the furry thing.
Everyone likes the jackal man.
I like the Jackalman. Good old one.
The only good old one is Toth, and that's because he was altered to not be an old one anymore. So there you go.
For $1.99, when it pops up here for $1.99, thank you, Matt. It is Shadowrun. Thank you for the $1.99, sir. Take that, Kevin.
Yeah.
Not Kevin Simbita, Kevin Sullivan. All right. I think that's a good place to end. So far, the backstory is interesting to me. I want to see where this goes. I am neither like, yeah, this sounds like the greatest game ever, or screw this game. I'm gonna see if
Well,
he
no,
does.
the whole point of this backstory is to show you that unlike the previous Palladium games that we've reviewed, not only are the supernatural threat the threat, but normal people are also the threat because you look like a supernatural monster. You look like a monster now. So even normal people are going to try and kill you. The people you're trying to save are turning you in and shooting you in the face.
Well, it doesn't help that it's a dystopia America too.
Well, or America 10 years from now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh my God. Another one. We got another
Another
one
nice one. Yeah.
who's mad about the name. We get it,
Name
but you
change.
know
Come
what?
on.
The reason we're covering this as obviously Nightbane is because that is the current version that you can get. It's
Right.
the same reason why we didn't cover Robotech as much as I probably wanted to.
Yeah, I would have loved to cover Robotech. I love the Robotech game, but the only place you can get it is on eBay.
Yeah. I would actually have preferred to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over after, especially after the backstory of after the bomb.
Even harder to get on eBay.
Yeah. So, anywho, all right then. I guess if that's all we're gonna have for today, because that we covered the comments. That's a nerdy ogre. Backstory.
This was all political commentary. Yeah. It ended up being that way because we didn't make it. We didn't do this.
Yeah. Remember,
It's just that-
1995 is when the book came out.
Yes, this was written as a worst case scenario, and we just happened to live through a worst case scenario that's somewhat analogous to this. It's not our fault. We didn't do it.
All right. Do I have things I show at the end of a video? I think I do. Oh, you know, we never showed.
Oh,
You were reading. That was my job this time because you were doing all the reading. My bad. Hopefully now they like, subscribe, and share. And again, links to our social media and Discord in the description below. You can buy our merchandise. You can check out our charity because you know what? We're coming close. We're starting to come close to the end of the year. You might have some charitable giving that you can use for a write-off. Well, I've got a charity for you in the description below. And of course, you can check out our alternative media there, Rumble and Odyssey and et cetera, et cetera. Sundays and Fridays, we do tabletop role-playing game streams. Oh, I didn't change the time for that. I completely forgot. I got to change the Friday chill stream to be 6 p.m. Central Time because I'm starting a couple hours earlier. And it really didn't work out for me because we still streamed until midnight and then I still talked with people until 1:30 in the morning. So,
Well, it's not 3 in the morning.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But we had a great time this last week. And check out the chill stream where we're just kind of, chill stream means that we're not at work. It means that we're not thinking about the important things. We're talking about gaming. It doesn't necessarily mean we're always happy and smiling. Not just chill. We have opinions and commentary on things. And of course, Thursdays and Saturdays, Heathen Dog and his amazing lackeys or his team of adventurers or his cohorts, however you want to call it, play multiplayer, cooperative, usually games. They found out that doing the competitive thing makes blood pressure go a little higher. So they do a lot of cooperative stuff, which still I think makes some people's blood pressure a little higher. But they have fun. Right now they're doing Dungeons Dragons online, and we'll see what they do next, whatever that happens to be. So check that out. And of course, you guys have seen this a million times. I'm just going to put up on the screen. If you need this translated for you to understand what this means, well, I don't know what to tell you.